An understanding of interfaces is very helpful in understanding the architecture of collection framework. An interface in the Java programming language is an abstract type that is used to specify a behavior that classes must implement. It is more like a contract. It simply tells its classes that if you implement me, I will make sure that you have implemented all the methods of mine at compile time. It also makes sense to use interfaces when more than one class is having some common methods. For instance, a human and a parrot can both whistle. However, it would not make sense to represent humans and parrots as subclasses of whistler class. Rather, they would most likely be subclasses of animal class, but both would implement the whistler interface, which is having abstract method whistle. JDK 8 and JDK 9 have added many changes to interfaces. Beginning with JDK 8, it is possible to add a default implementation to an interface method. Beginning with JDK 9, an interface can include private methods. Thus, it is now possible for interface to specify some behavior. However, these methods are more like a special use features. The original intent behind interfaces still remains. Interfaces are declared using interface keyword and may only contain method signature and constant declarations as of all versions below Java 8. But since Java 8, Java added 4 more capabilities to interface, such as default methods, static methods, private methods, and private static methods. As you can see here, this is an example of an interface. In this example, there are 4 methods. One of them is default method. If a method is declared as default, then interface will not enforce implementing classes to include default methods. Here, method display elements is declared as default. Now let's see how a class implements this interface. The interface enforces the class to implement all the non-default methods. Each class is free to provide its own implementation for these methods. As you can see here, the stack class implements interface 1, which is having 4 methods, and one of them is default method, which is display elements. Here, stack has given implementation for push, pop, and top methods. Here, the class implemented all the non-default methods. I intentionally left out default method display elements, just to show you that it is not mandatory to implement default methods. An interface can extend other interfaces, and a class can implement multiple interfaces. This is an example of such scenario. This simulates multiple inheritance in Java. The main reason we discussed about interfaces is collection framework has interfaces, and those interfaces are implemented by collection classes such as ArrayList, stack, and queues. Interfaces provides abstraction and fundamental element in the object-oriented programming languages. In the next section, we will learn about interfaces declared in the collection framework.